Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's funny. Have you ever really stopped to think about how much is hiding inside a simple question like, so, what's your plan for today? Well, in Mandarin, that seemingly basic exchange is really a doorway. It's a gateway to understanding ancient logic, a philosophy of social harmony, and the very skeleton of the language itself. Today, we are going to completely transform the way you talk about your schedule. So let's get started. All right, so here's our roadmap for today's session. We're going to begin with a core dialogue. Think of it as our case study. From there, we'll peel it back layer by layer, decoding its key vocabulary and then mastering the sentence structure. After that, and this is crucial, we'll explore the unspoken cultural rules that are working just beneath the surface. And finally, we'll put it all into practice and talk about how you can take these skills way beyond the textbook. Okay, so let's set the stage. What you're about to hear is a very, very common exchange. It's the kind of thing you might hear between colleagues or friends in any Mandarin-speaking city. This conversation is going to be our anchor for everything we explore today. Now, I want you to listen very carefully. We're going to read this dialogue aloud. We'll perform it in a very flat, very deliberate, textbook style. This is our before snapshot. Think of it as just the raw data. A, 你今天有什么安排 B. 我上午9点开会，下午3点要见一个客户。A. 听起来很忙，那我们什么时候可以讨论一下那个项目 B. 晚上7点以后我有空。Okay, just remember that sound. We're going to come back to it later, and you'll see just how much it can transform. So, now we're going to zoom in. We're moving from the full dialogue to its most basic building blocks, the words themselves. It's a very common mistake for learners to see Mandarin characters as just a bunch of complicated lines. But in reality, every single one is a piece of history. It's a story, a whole logical concept compressed into one little square. Our first key term is anpai. Let's really listen to the tones here. The first character, an, is a high, flat first tone. It's like a sustained note. On. The second character, pai, is a rising second tone, almost like you're asking a gentle question. Pai? So together we have anpai. And this is where you see the absolute brilliance inside the word. Let's break it down. Look at the first character. An. It's actually a pictograph. You have a woman under a roof, an ancient, powerful symbol of peace, security, and calm in the home. Now look at pai. On the left, you got the hand radical, which always points to some kind of action. On the right, you have a component that means negation or disorder. So pai is literally the action of using your hands to push away chaos. Put them together and anpai isn't just to arrange. It's this beautiful, profound act of creating a peaceful order. Okay, next up, we have 时间. This is our word for time. And again, let's focus on those tones. It's a rising second tone, 时, followed by a high, flat first tone, 间. So it sounds like 时间. And the story behind this one, well, it's wonderfully poetic. This is just a perfect example of how ancient people visualized abstract concepts. The character 时 combines the radical for the sun with a component that means a unit of measure. So it literally means the measured movement of the sun. Then you have jin, which shows the sun radical inside of a door. Just picture a sunbeam passing through a doorway. You can see how that perfectly represents an interval, a space, or a duration. So when you put them together, 时间 is the measured passage of the sun through a specific interval. It's just incredible, isn't it? Our final piece of key vocabulary from the dialogue is mang. That's a rising second tone, mang. Now, on the surface, it simply means busy. But if you look inside the character, it reveals a surprisingly profound psychological state. This is honestly one of my all-time favorite character breakdowns. Just look at the two parts here. On the left, we have the heart radical, xin. And on the right, we have the character wang, which means to be lost, to disappear, even to perish. So the classical definition of being busy, of mang, is a state where your heart is lost. It's not just about having a full calendar, it's a deep-seated warning about losing your center, your focus, your heart. All right, we've decoded the words. Now let's talk about how we actually assemble them. In Mandarin, sentence structure isn't random at all. It follows a very clear, very logical principle that is fundamentally different from English. And getting this right is everything. Here it is. This is the single most important rule to burn into your brain. In Mandarin, context always comes before the action. Think of yourself as a film director. You have to set the scene before the actors can do anything. So you establish who is doing it, the subject. Then you have to establish when and where, the time and place. And only then, at the very end, can the action, the verb, happen. So let's look at a concrete example right from our dialogue. In English, we say, I, subject, have a meeting, verb, at 9 a.m., time. The time feels almost like an afterthought tacked on to the end. But look at the Mandarin. 我, subject, then 上午9点, time, and then 开会, verb. That time phrase, 上午9点, has to come before the verb 开会. This isn't just a stylistic choice, it is a non-negotiable rule of the grammar. You always set the context first. So let's move into what is perhaps the most nuanced part of our lesson today. Because knowing the words and the grammar will get you understood, sure, but understanding the culture, that's what will make you a truly effective and respectful communicator. This is where real fluency begins. Okay, so I want to pose this question to all of you. Let's say you're in an office in the US or Europe. If a colleague comes up and asks, "Are you busy?" it's usually a pretty direct question. They need information. But in a Chinese cultural context, is it just a simple question? That question and its answer carries so much more weight. The short answer is no. Ni忙吗is almost never just about your schedule. It's more like a Swiss Army knife of communication. Sometimes, yes, it can be a simple greeting, almost like saying, "How's it going?" But much more often, it serves as a polite opening, a softener before making a request. By asking if you're busy first, the speaker is showing you consideration. They're paving the way for a really smooth and respectful interaction. And this brings us to the absolutely central concept of face, or mianza. Face is all about social harmony, about public perception, and mutual respect. So by asking about your schedule before asking for something, the speaker is giving you face. They're signaling, "I respect your time," and, critically, they are giving you an easy way out. You can simply say, "Oh, I'm a bit busy," and you've gracefully declined a request that was never even explicitly made. It allows both people to preserve their dignity, to save face. It's a vital social lubricant. Okay, we have looked at the vocabulary, we've mastered the grammar, and we've explored the deep cultural context. Now it's time to put all of those pieces back together. We're going to revisit our dialogue, but this time, we're going to perform it the way it would actually sound in a real, natural conversation. Now really listen for the difference. Listen for the flow, the intonation, the rhythm. It's not just a string of words anymore. A.
你今天有什么安排
B. 我上午9点开会，下午3点要见一个客户。
？A. 听起来很忙，那我们什么时候可以讨论一下那个项目
B. 晚上7点以后我有空。
See what I mean? It's a fluid exchange. It has its own melody, its own musicality. That's what we're aiming for. And to get that natural sound, mastering the tones is absolutely essential. Let's troubleshoot a few common errors. For unpai, many students say 2 flat tones. You've got to remember, it's flat, then rising. Unpai. For shijian, the common mistake is making both tones rise. Nope, it's rising, then flat. Shijian. And finally, wanshang. That third tone, fourth tone combination is a classic challenge. Remember, the third tone, wan, is a low dip and rise. The fourth, shang, is a sharp, sudden drop. Wan, shang. Practice these combos until they feel like second nature. So there you have it. We've taken one simple, everyday dialogue and uncovered this entire world of meaning hiding inside it. But remember, this isn't just an abstract academic exercise. The whole point is for you to take these tools, the logic of the characters, the rules of sentence structure, the cultural awareness, and use them to communicate more deeply, more effectively, and more authentically. You know, you came into this session today to learn how to talk about a schedule. But hopefully, you're leaving with an understanding of not just what to say, but how to say it. And maybe most importantly, why we say it that way. You now know the words, and you know the fundamental rules that connect them. So, the only question that's left is this. With this deeper understanding of the language, how will you tell your own story?